Hi, this is Sadat, and this is assignment week 8, and this video will be about the JSON web token and authentication with it. This is part of the assignment to make this video and answer a couple of questions. So starting with the first question, how do you implement secure authentication with JSON web tokens? Show your JWT token generation and signing process. In user control, we implement authentication with creating a JavaScript JSON web token and sending that with the response, setting that with the browser cookies. And each time the user sends a request, this request is sent to this request is checked if the token is right or it's wrong web token. If the token doesn't exist, the user is not authenticated. So first, we generate whenever we generate a user or a user registers, and after the user is registered, we send that user ID to the to this function, and it sets that with the user ID, and we create a random token with this function. And also after that, this object is assigned with the secret that we have in the env file. After that, we set that into the cookies in the response that is signed by the JWT, and its maximum age is for 1 hour. Walk to the middleware that validates the JSON web token. So whenever we receive a request, that request is sent to check if that request is allowed or this user is authenticated or not. So it checks if the token that we have received, if the request does have cookies or not. If it does not have the cookies, if it does not have the JSON web token, it returns a 401 unauthorized response. After that, if the token does exist, then we check that if the token is right or wrong. If it is a wrong token, it throws an error, and that error is unauthorized. It throws it sent a response after 401 or unauthorized user. If there is no error, we have the token that's the right token. After that, we set the request user to that ID from the decoded token. We see which user that is, and then we send it to the next middleware. But if that request is a writing request, like post, patch, delete, connect, we see if that is in that request method. If it is that, then we see if that has a CSRF token. If the CSRF token is different from the one that is in the request and the one that is in our generated web token, then it throws the 401 error. It's not error, but it sends a different response that this user is not authorized. Show how to protect roles and access user information. So how do we protect our routes? we put that middleware in front of the routes that we want to protect it, like the tasks that we want to protect it from the users that are unauthorized or unauthenticated. Also the API analytics that we want to make sure that the user that want to access it has the authorization. Also, we have another route that is log off route. We don't want unauthorized person or hackers to send a log off request on behalf of some user. So we have to protect that. Any user that want to log off, they have to be logged in first. What security vulnerability does your authentication system prevents? So first, it checks for the authentication, if the user is logged in or not. Second, it checks if the user is logged in, but if it is the request is the right type of request, like it checks if the user is authorized or not. Also, it checks for the CSRF token. If it's not, it prevents the cross-site scripting by checking the CSRF token. Explain the CSRF protection and show your CSRF token implementation. So as I showed earlier, in the middleware, we check for post, patch, put, all this method. If it is one of the method that is sent in the request. If it is that, then we look for CSRF token, and we get that from the request. Once we get that, we compare it with the decoding CSRF token that is with us, that we have generated. If it is different from that, it sends a response that is unauthorized. Demonstrate how HTTP-only cookies work versus local storage. So when we set cookie in the HTTP only, the JavaScript cannot have access to that, and that's only sent with the browser. On the other hand, if it is stored in the local storage, any malicious code or user, another hacker can, if they have access to user's computer and have access to the local storage, they can use that CSRF, the JSON web token, and use it. Walk through rate limiting and input standardization. So I implement the rate limiting, which is I use it as a middleware. It checks for so my rate limiter checks allows it for 15 minutes and maximum of 100 requests. It prevents a user to abuse the website from, like, to send 10,000 requests in a second or in 2 seconds. Also, I sanitize the request after it is parsed from the cookie parser and the JSON, the express.json, which parsed the request. After that, it can read the cross-site citation, the cross-site scripting, and prevent the malicious data. How do you handle user session and maintain security across requests? So once a user is logged in, I set the WebJSON token information in the response. That response is set, or that JWT is set in the cookies of that user's browser. And whenever he sends a request, another request, it is sent with each request, and my backend checks it against that one I have generated in the backend. So also it is set for 1 hour. So it will check for if it is expired or not. Demonstrate the difference between authentication and authorization. So authentication is checked when the user is logged in or not for their JSON token. Also, authorization is that that same user is allowed to have access to certain data or not. Walk through your logout process and token invalidation. In logout, I clear the cookies of JSON Web Token and also the cookie flags that I have earlier declared. So, and that is sent back to the user, and it clears the cookies on user's web browser. And if he sends another request after that, that will not have cookies, and my JSON Web Token middleware will catch that request and will not allow and will throw or send back the unauthorized response. Show you how to handle authentication errors and edges. So I just showed earlier that my authenticate function, it checks for cookies. If it doesn't exist, it throws, it sends back the unauthorized response. If the token does exist, but it is checked with the cookies, and if it is not the token that we have, it throws an error, and it throws an error, and if there is an error in that, it sends back a response of unauthorized. After that, if the user is authenticated, it is the right token, then we see if it is a GET response, it's a GET request, or the post fetch or put request. If it is one of them, after that we check the cross site, the CSRF token. If it is not the right CSRF token, that user cannot read, write data to the database, and send back the 401 or unauthorized response. So I hope I have covered all the questions that was necessary for this assignment. Thank you.